Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, bonus footage, it's an encore of the one and only Jack Weichel. I'm very happy to report that there was some footage that my son took when we were at Hidden Lake Gardens in Tipton, Michigan, interviewing Jack Weichel. Well, he had his camera set up for a different angle. I thought that footage was gone, or I just didn't get it from him. I just kind of forgot about it. And then this holiday season, he comes over and says, "Hey Dad, do you want the rest of that footage still?" Oh, of course I do. And I forgot that we took a little mini tour of Jack Weichel's trees. Well, some of his trees that were from other people that he's donated, they donated to the Hidden Lake Gardens. He explained some of the trees. But before we go see some of the trees, I was talking to Jack recently. He said, "Hey Dave, would you mind telling people about the calendar?" So here it is. So I got myself a calendar when I was there at Tipton, Michigan with Jack. And it's the Jack Weichel Bonsai Legacy 2023 calendar. And it's chock full, of course, with 12 months of pictures. And here's my favorite. Yeah, it's the Larch Forest. That's in the month of July. That's when we were there. And I saw this up close and personal with the light shining behind me. Go check out parts 1 and part 2 of the interview with Jack Weichel, and you'll see this in all its glory. And so this calendar can be yours for $25, and it goes to the Jack Weichel Bonsai Legacy Fund so they can continue to do the work that they do at Hidden Lake Gardens. So go check that out. There'll be a link in my description on this video. You can also check out the website for Jack Weichel, which is JackWeichelBonsaiLegacy.com. So check that out, and you can go ahead and click on purchasing a calendar. You can also see the videos that we've put on there as well. My thanks to the folks out there at Ann Arbor Bonsai Society and West Michigan Bonsai who's put all this together. They put a little link on when I was out there with Jack with the interviews, and they've got that posted on their website. Just super proud moment in my bonsai career to have sat next to that man for a couple of hours and now be a part of the drive and the motivation to people to continue to fund the great work that they do there at Hidden Lake. So go check that out. Get yourself a calendar for 2023. Give it to a bonsai friend. Keep it for yourself. Very, very awesome. So right now, let's take a peek at the walkthrough of the gardens. Now, we didn't get every tree on film, but Jack shared some more stories. Another fun listen. So check it out. Let's go walk around the Hidden Lake display as we were there in July this past summer. So I hope you enjoy.
I'm absolutely sure that I wouldn't have missed that last Thursday.
Really?
You know, it might have been this long.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that long.
Wasn't that long. Yeah, that's... So keep it on top of your trees in the summertime.
Well, this is a public display, and we're trying to make people see what's possible.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You know, interesting, a lot of more than I expected.
Yeah.
You know, we have an audience that comes through here that doesn't know very much about bonsai typically.
Yeah.
They're just discovering it for the first time.
Sure.
And there are a few that look around, why would anybody do that, you know, they're puzzled. But many more of them, wow.
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 Yeah. Yeah, when you get a tree like this,
without ever thinking that they'd want to do something like that, but it's like artwork in a museum.
Yeah.
They as spectators.
Yeah, they can appreciate it at least as that.
And they get a positive feeling just reacting to it.
Yeah. Oh,
And we get people. We come here regularly to see the bonsai. We bring our friends here to see the bonsai.
Repeat customers.
Yeah, that they're our favorite thing at Hidden Lake Gardens.
Yeah, are the trees.
Are the bonsai.
Yeah.
Of course, there's not a lot of competition here, and that there's not all that many other.
Not many people around doing it, huh? Tell me about this privet over here. First potted in '93. Wow, that's amazing.
And it was on a concrete slab. Something I think it's something they purchased from Brussels.
Okay.
Actually, the slab was. It was a bonsai friend who had seen somebody else's forest, you know, where they had a lot of trees, and Jack, I'd like to do something like that, and what should we do, you know, will you help me?
Yeah.
And well, first you got to find something that's economical, that you can get enough to make a forest.
Sure, sure.
And
it's a lot of trees.
You need to be on the lookout for something. and he had bought the slab. He had the slab, and so the next time that he came around, he had this big bundle of rooted privet cuttings that were being sold by a local garden center in his area for people that wanted an instant hedge but didn't want to pay for, something's already well established.
Well established.
So they just rooted cuttings.
Yeah.
And they were maybe that tall.
Yeah. A foot or two tall, couple feet tall.
Yeah, but less than a year old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a little, not a lot, but a little variation in ages there.
Yeah.
And so he brought these cuttings, and okay, this going to work, and so we cut them. It's kind of hard to arrange something like that.
Yeah.
So we cut everything down basically in the 4 to 6 inch. Just cut them.
Just cut them all down.
Yeah. Wherever there seemed to be a reasonable, and you can see where some of the cuts were made the first
sure. Yeah.
time. And tried to put them in an arrangement that was interesting and had a sense of flow.
Yeah.
Like they were kind of had grown, blowing in the same way.
Yeah. Some uniformity to it, a little bit of symmetry.
Every week, essentially. Okay, who gets to prune the privet? It's more like so we have some.
Yeah, there's new growth on there, a couple inches.
We keep nipping them back.
Keep bringing them back,
very much weekly.
Yeah.
And of course, that's why it's a popular hedge plant, because it tolerates.
It tolerates that. Yeah. People can hedge prune them all the time. Scotch pine over here.
Yep. And so that's a Scotch pine that there was not far away from here on one of the kind of country highways, if you will. Deerfield Highway. There was a guy that was buying conifer seedlings like for Christmas trees.
Oh, okay.
So he'd buy from the nurserymen that are selling seedlings for planting a Christmas tree plantation.
Yeah.
And he'd plant them in his front yard in rows, fairly close together.
Yeah.
And then he didn't have a sign out, but he'd sell them to anybody that came by.
Sure.
He wasn't very sophisticated. He didn't dig a ball on anything. He took the shovel and he had some cardboard boxes and whatever stayed with the. Throw it in the box.
Throw it in the box and there you go.
Take it home.
It's yours.
50 cents a foot.
Oh, really? 50 cents a foot.
That was his pricing.
50 cents a foot.
I paid $2.50 for this.
Did you really?
Yeah.
$2.50. Yeah.
And that was probably not
83 when it was potted.
Yeah. So I probably had it in some other container, for a year or two.
A couple of yeah. Very nice.
So that big one and the one here, the white cedar.
The white cedars, yeah.
These were collected up north somewhere.
Okay.
By Elsie McCready and her husband.
Okay. So these were natively growing in Michigan.
So these are natively growing in Michigan. It's very common farther north you get.
Yeah.
It's like the deer food up there.
Well, that's how you find a lot of these stump trees, right? Because they kept them all cut.
This was growing.
Yeah.
And Elsie didn't tell me exactly where she and her husband found it.
Secret spot.
And maybe I don't really want to know all the answers, but she brought these back. There were maybe a dozen of them.
Yeah.
And so these were two of the that she kept. The one that I had is in the collection at Matha.
Okay.
But at any rate, I looked at that. That's old. That's got to be 50, 60 years old, Elsie. At least that.
Wow.
And then, it was a few years later, and I had a dead branch. And, a place I didn't want it.
Yeah.
Cut it off. The branch had 60 rings.
Really?
Yeah, really.
That's crazy.
It's like, oh. It's like, oh.
That's a find.
So I was way off.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that this is
100-year-old tree.
And might be 150, might be 200. Yeah.
That's a beautiful planting.
This is super fun.
Yeah. That is phenomenal.
So these were seedlings that were collected from a fen. I remember you used that word.
From a fen?
A fen. You know,
did I use
one of your...
Did I? Oh, I did use fen, but who? But someone told me it though. That was something I went to.
But anyway, the word came up.
Came up fen.
Yeah, and so basically, when you get to researching that, the difference between a bog and a fen
okay.
is that a bog is acid and a fen is alkaline.
Oh.
Because you've got spring water coming up through, you know, that has a very high mineral load, and that's a fen.
Okay. So is Minnesota,
they,
Michigan mostly bogs then, or?
It's a mix.
It is a mix. Okay.
It's a mix, yeah. And depending on the water movement, you know, beneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look at this beautiful little fern right there. That is. Where did you find that little gem? Look at that little fern growing in there.
I think Bill planted it, but basically.
That is great.
Before the auction, it was taken up about this.
That big?
I said, no, just a minute. You know, this thing is upstaging the whole composition. Clean it out, and we're just going to leave
Thinned it out.
You know, the presentation here is this arrangement.
Oh my gosh.
Variety and trunk sizes, and so these were collected seedlings from a fen where there were some endangered butterflies and stuff, and so these were weeds to the property owner.
Sure.
Because they want to keep some orchids and other things.
Sure.
That weren't larch, that were just coming up everywhere.
Coming up everywhere, and little sticks and
so half a dozen of us from the Bonsai Society went and harvested multi-hundred of these.
Yeah.
And used them for workshop.
And
these were ones that Bill took home, threw them in a box for a while.
Was this a created pot here, a created slab?
I bought this, guess where? Milwaukee.
Really?
Actually, I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Bill Heston bought it. But this was a convention, Bonsai convention up in...
Oh, it was part of the MABA, the Milwaukee Association?
I think it was BCI maybe.
Oh, BCI? Okay.
And it might even have been joint BCI-ABS.
Okay, okay.
Anyway,
wow, that is an amazing piece of art.
And so we, you know, there were vendors there.
Yeah, yeah.
But the guy that had these wasn't a vendor. We were eating lunch in this fast food place, and you know, okay, we had our bags. You know, and he's talking about, oh yeah, I'm in Bonsai.
Yeah.
And he's, I'm making some pots. I've got something in my car.
My car.
Interested. You might be interested in seeing.
And here they are.
And so we went to his, and so he was molding these.
Wow.
So this is out of concrete. That's done. My understanding is in some kind of a heavy-duty rubber form that was made over an actual natural stone.
Oh, okay.
And then
he made a mold from a natural stone, and then yeah, they used it for this. Wow.
And looking at that, and you know, that's really interesting. You know, how much you want for it.
Yeah.
And
that is more than interesting.
And he had this box of larches that were already going. Hey, Bill, you know, I think this is what we're looking for. And so they were planted in this.
That is phenomenal. It's one of my favorites here. 20-year-old Hinoki here, looks like.
Well, that's our best guess. You know?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, it's simple, but...
And so one of our goals is to try to have some things out here that really show variation in size.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, that is just a stunning tree. That is just amazing. What is the big distinction between a Japanese hornbeam and other hornbeams that we would come across?
They're all in the birch family.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're different.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about this, but at one point, maybe it's time. You know, when I first got into this, you know, I got a biology degree.
Yeah.
You know, and then a master's degree in ornamental horticulture, where I'm learning about these kinds of things.
Right, right.
And so. And I'm reading about what they do in Japan, you know, and I'm all excited.
Yeah.
And my sense was, you know, anything that the Japanese can do with their hornbeams, I ought to be able to do with a native one. You know?
Sure.
Anything they can do with their crabapple, I ought to be able to do
with mine.
You know, and,
right.
And anything they do with their maples, I ought to be able to do it with mine.
We should be able to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mentioned this Stanley Chin, the Chinese guy.
Yeah.
You know, part of the lesson, he said, when I first came here in the United States, he said, I tried every American maple as bonsai. None of them worked.
There's still people trying it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still people trying.
And you get looking at his book, and there are maybe, I'd have to count to make sure, but there are at least 2 dozen, maybe 3 dozen different species of maples that are native in the Orient.
Yeah.
How many of those species would you guess are being used in growing bonsai?
Half a dozen? 2?
2.
Really?
Japanese maple, Acer palmatum, and the Trident maple.
So there's, now, are the other ones different cultivars of the?
No, they're different species. You could make cultivars, but they're species that you could get cultivars from if you were really watching them. You know?
Yeah.
And like Stanley Chin, he's pointing at me. You don't just plant any Japanese or any Trident maple for a bonsai. People have planted hundreds of thousands of Trident maples, and they picked out the best ones and they planted them next to the house, and those are the mother trees.
Yeah.
So they're working, on the whole, in the Orient with
from 2 trees.
Selected cultivars.
Yeah.
You know, so things that have been picked because of their characteristics.
Their characteristics.
Small leaves, quick trunk thickening, roots engulfing a rock in a hurry, super fall color.
Everything else they don't touch.
Well, it's just saying you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
You know, you can play with that, but but so the point is, you're making a mistake if you don't use some of the well-established, proven producers. You know.
Oh, we can still enjoy it if we use our own trees, right?
Well, you can do that, but don't make it your only trees.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
So I tried, you know, I had a whole bunch of, because they were available, native hornbeams. Yeah. That the Korean hornbeam is just wildly superior to ours. As bonsai material. Yeah. To our native hornbeam. It's smaller leaves. Yeah. More free and producing buds and new shoots and everything else. Making a mistake if you're not getting your hands on a Korean hornbeam.
Little leaf linden. Now linden leaves are like this, or bigger. That's amazing.
And that's partly persistent pruning. But see here, this wasn't here last
Thursday. It wasn't there. You can just see this growth. Yeah. Yeah,
and tomorrow, they'll go again. And the next week they'll be back.
That's right. That's.
So there was a man that was the head plant propagator for Michigan State University for their landscape.
Okay.
A man named Al Garlitz. He was a member of the Bonsai Society that was up there in Lansing area at the time, and you know, he's doing so. By being a propagator, he was really familiar with the idea of air layering.
Air layering, yeah.
And so my understanding is that this is something he started from a small leaf linden in the nursery.
Really?
Yeah. And when he passed away, then they had an auction, you know. And then Elsie bought it at the auction.
Yeah, it's stunning. Is there a tree in this collection right now that draws you more than any other tree, or this whole thing is you?
It's whole thing.
The whole thing.
It's like you come in and you say, I know, Jack, you got 12 kids now. Which one's your favorite?
Which one's your favorite?
It depends on the day and how they're behaving.
Well, that's great.
Probably about 1965.
Yeah.
I found this in this woods, you know.
Yeah.
And it was, my memory is, it was over head high, maybe 6-7 feet tall.
Okay.
And it had and the trunk was far smaller, but it had a taper, you know, nicely. Yeah. Of course, it's a beech, you know, it's got small leaves, relatively speaking, and nice track. Oh, maybe should I? Incidentally, there weren't a lot of beech there, but if there were, this one was going there.
Very nice. Wow.
But all the branches were at least shoulder high, waist high, shoulder high, and higher.
Wow.
And I was going, well, now what? And then I'm looking, and down, and I can tell you, this high off the ground.
Yeah.
There was a little side branch that was coming up, just kind of a sucker, you know, trying to be another branch.
Big tall branch, yeah. And
it was, you know, maybe long.
You chop it there?
And if I just sawed it off right there, let that be the new top. So it's not very consistent. But see where you go from completely straight?
Yeah.
Right there's where it was sawed off.
Where it was sawed off.
But at the time, it was kind of parallel to the apples.
Yeah.
You know, it would grow from buds out here at the ends of the branches, and it would just keep getting longer and longer. And I'm wanting to shorten things up.
Yep.
Side, but there were nothing going.
Nothing back budding.
And of course, the common knowledge in the bonsai world is you don't defoliate a beech. You know, it'll kill it.
Yeah.
And, I'm kind of stymied, so I didn't want to defoliate it. And I got to thinking, no, I can't live with it just going on like this.
Yeah.
And what would happen if before it started growing, before the buds opened up in the spring, before it expended a lot of energy producing new leaves and shoots, if I just cut off every bud, every bud I could see.
Really?
Just completely disbudded it.
What, had enough energy to push out the new growth then? You cut off all the tips.
No, I cut off
everything.
Every bud.
Every bud was gone.
And you know what? There were buds that suddenly, you know, appeared in places where there'd never been buds before.
And you technically didn't defoliate it.
And I didn't defoliate.
No, you didn't. You did it.
I didn't let it waste all that energy.
Yeah.
You know, and then attack.
And then attack it. Yeah.
And so I did this every year for a while, and within a few years I remember thinking, you know, I've got 10, 20 times more active growing tips than I had before
you did that.
And since then, you know, if you got something a deciduous thing that isn't twiggy enough, including some elms and hornbeams and so on, just take off every bud.
Every bud in the spring before they push.
Before they push, and stand back.
Stand back. And stand back.
The beautiful larch forest, and then next in the month of August is the very apple tree that sat behind us when we did our interviews out there last summer. So this was behind us. No apples on it though when we were there, but look at the apple tree full of apples there. Very, very cool. So that is the Jack Weichel Bonsai Legacy 2023 calendar. This can be yours. Go ahead to their website, and I'll have that link down below, plus I'll post it up here on the video, and I'll say it once again, Jack Weichel, bonsailegacy.com, where you can find all information and buy a couple calendars for the new year. So it's the Happy New Year edition of Dave's Bonsai with some Jack Weichel, and get yourself your calendar and you'll be all set. Well, we're not quite done. So when you're there at Hidden Lakes, not too many people get to see this, but they call it the kitchen. And the kitchen is where all the other trees are being cared for and pruned and pinched and trimmed and repotted and worked on. So when they are done and finished, they go out and spend some time in the display area. And if you notice Jack talking a couple of times about the trees, there was like growth since the last time he was out there. And that was one of their biggest summer jobs, is to continue to trim them to form, because those are refined trees. And they keep them all real nice and tight, and so you don't see all those scraggly growth. When we were out there, he was thinking that they should have been trimmed a little bit, maybe before I got out there. But we went to the kitchen, so the kitchen was only about 100 feet to the right, to the east of where we were, and the trees that the public doesn't get to see. But you get to see a few of them right here as we continue to talk with Jack on a couple things bonsai back in the kitchen.
More maples. Is this one of the pyracantha style?
Actually, that's...
or is that a cotoneaster?
It's a cotoneaster.
It's a small, really small leaf. Holy buckets. Or is that a cotoneaster?
It's a cotoneaster.
It's a small, really small leaf. Holy buckets.
And you know, many of them are. This is, where you see the number, that's the back. That routinely, when each week, somebody will rotate it since they're not on display.
Yeah, yeah.
The conifer world knows as the nest spruce.
Bird's nest spruce? Is that what they call it? A bird's nest spruce. Such tiny foliage. It's amazing. This must be an elm variety.
Yeah.
Very small leaves. Is that a Chinese elm?
It's one
of the.
One of.
Look at that trunk. That's a cork bark.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Look at the bark on that. Wow.
So there are several, I think, different selections that are corky barked.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
This is one of them.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah. Another white cedar over there. And what invasive one is this?
Burning bush.
I haven't had luck with burning bush. Mine don't stay alive.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's possible. I can see.
Does it turn beautifully red in the fall?
Yep.
Just fire red, or candy apple red, man. Just
Yep. That's the one.
That's. I've heard that those are. Someone said in the last couple of years that our nurseries won't be keeping them in Minnesota anymore. That they're kind of an invasive thing. Is that?
No, that's what I said.
Is that what you're saying on this one?
Considered to be an invasive.
That's that. I didn't know that until just a year or two ago. I had never heard that.
You know.
Interesting little side note there. So is this a wisteria?
It is a wisteria.
I've never seen one up close. So when do they bud typically? This is late for a bud, right? Is this pretty late?
You're looking at the calendar there. It's a June.
June. Okay.
Thing that we get a lot of flowers.
Wow.
So this goes back to the early '60s. You know, I'm excited, and we don't have any budget for this. You know, but my wife Janine wanted to give me a gift, something I could go as a bonsai.
Yeah.
So we went down to a little street corner nursery sales lot in Kent, where we lived, and bought two plants. One was an azalea, and the other was a wisteria that I picked because it had this huge trunk. My memory is the trunk was at least the diameter of a quarter.
Yeah.
Take that home. This is it.
This is it. When did you bring that home? What year was that?
Well, that would have been about 1965, 66.
Oh, jeez.
No less.
Beautiful. And it's a good bloomer annually for you? It's been a good...
You know, we went through a lot of ups and downs on that.
Yeah.
One year I thought, okay, after trying everything, most of it not working very well.
Wow.
We had, I think we had 6 or 7 flower changes. Oh my, I'm on the way now, you know. Know what to do.
Yeah.
You know how many flower chains I had the next year?
0.
Not one.
Not one. So much for thinking you had it made there. Had it.
We had several dozen this year.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Beautiful. Well, this is quite a kitchen. Thanks for sharing. Beautiful. Something to aspire to there, cameraman.
Absolutely.
Something to aspire to.
You know, but it's to me, one of the really important concepts related to bonsai is that it can be rewarding, you know, practiced on almost any level of involvement, that, you know, and accomplishment. So we're trying to, and this is relatively, we should have done this several months ago.
Oh. Are those,
So those are,
soaking in water?
they're wicks that are there to run water down and out. So they're to improve the drainage.
Oh, really?
So that this dries faster.
Oh, really?
You know, there's a guy up in Traverse City who first was writing and talking about that named Dean Bow.
Okay.
And he likes to talk about WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks. That is fantastic. So.
But he's somebody that you just love talking about, and you just head over heels.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Some wicks to leak the water out.
So, yeah. So right now, you know, any one of these containers.
Yeah.
Like if you lay a wet sponge down here.
Yeah.
It's wettest right at the surface, at the bottom.
At the bottom.
At the bottom. And so the wettest place in the pot, where it's typically too wet for anything to grow, and so it is right at the pot floor.
Yeah.
So if we can extend this down and pull down the water column,
that lowest point will be wet.
It will be drier.
Yeah.
Dry faster.
Wow.
You know.
I have not heard of that. There's another new one.
No, well, that's something that, and I've with somebody okay, my tree just isn't growing well.
Yeah.
And if I've taken like a long strip of just bath towel, something that's really absorbent,
Yeah.
and tuck it up to a drain hole in a container.
And it'll just absorb that water.
And put it, you can measure it. You can put a container down there and see how much water comes out after this stage. Normally drained.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it makes a significant difference.
Yeah. Huh. Wow. Very good. Very good. Wow, that is fantastic.
Now, if you have not gone to Hidden Lake Gardens in Tipton, Michigan to go see Jack's trees and all the other trees on display there from his collection and the collection that he has been taking care of, the curator for many, many years, you can support that cause again by going to Jack Weichel Bonsai Society for the 2023 calendar. Go to the jackweichel.bonsailegacy.com and you can get all the information there. I'll have the link here in the bottom of the video. And get yourself a calendar. I got to find my spot because as I record this, the new year is just literally around the corner. So we got to find the spot there. Thank you so much for watching. My thanks again to Jack Weichel and his time with me and my son Toby, allowing us to go see and talk about those trees for 2 or 3 hours in all. That kitchen area and walking through the gardens. I forgot that we had that on footage. I thought we just went out there and started talking, but yep, my son did his due diligence and followed us around with the camera. I hope you enjoyed. So get out there to Tipton, Michigan and see some incredible bonsai and make sure you spend some time there. There's so much to see at Hidden Lake, and we only spent some time at the bonsai garden because we were going to be doing some other things on our trip. So I'm going to be back there hopefully soon to visit Jack again, hopefully, and to see all those trees. And until then, until you get to go out there, yeah, get yourself the calendar. All right, hey, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we're going to catch you very soon on the next one.